My mother rang my doorbell on a Thursday morning in October. I hadn't seen her face in 11 years. She was standing on my porch in a gray wool coat, one piece of rolling luggage beside her, and a folded piece of paper in her hand. I thought for one fraction of a second that she had come to apologize. She had not. She unfolded the paper and held it out to me before she even said hello. It was a list, handwritten, black ink, 5 bullet points. Each one had a dollar amount beside it. The total at the bottom was $812,000. I looked at the list. Then I looked at my mother. Then I stepped back from the door and said, "Come in," because what she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that for 11 years I had been keeping a list of my own. 27 items. Every birthday card she returned. Every voicemail she ignored. Every school photo of her grandchildren that came back to me with a red stamp on the envelope. She brought a list of what she wanted. I had a list of what she did. And by the time she left my kitchen that afternoon, she would understand the difference between the two. My name is Serena. I'm 35 years old. I'm a CPA and the co-founder of a financial technology company based in Portland, Oregon. We build budgeting infrastructure for small medical practices, not glamorous, not the kind of thing that makes headlines, but the kind of work that keeps clinics from going under when insurance reimbursements take 4 months to process. My husband Darius built the software. I built the financial architecture around it. We have been partners in every meaningful sense of the word for 13 years. But before Portland, before the company, before any version of my life that felt like mine, there was Calverton, Tennessee, population 3,800, one stoplight, a water tower with the high school mascot painted on it by seniors every spring, a Presbyterian church on the main road that functioned as the social backbone of the entire town. Who went, who didn't, who sat in which pew, who brought what to the fellowship dinner after service. My father, Robert, was a high school history teacher for 29 years. Same classroom, same desk, same coffee thermos every morning. He was steady in the way that quiet men are steady, not exciting but reliable. The kind of man who showed up and kept showing up. I believed that about him completely, for a very long time. My mother, Gloria, ran the household, and more importantly, ran the town's unofficial social calendar. She organized the church auxiliary. She chaired the school booster club. She decided who was respectable and who wasn't. And in Calverton, those decisions carried real weight. My younger sister, Bethany, was 4 years younger, and everything I was not. Pretty in the way that small towns reward. Agreeable, easy, good at making people feel comfortable. My mother's favorite, my father's sunshine. I was the quiet one, the one who scored highest on every standardized test and never got a party for it. I don't say that with bitterness. I say it because it's true, and because the pattern it established, Serena achieves. Serena is acknowledged briefly. Serena is then expected to continue achieving without requiring anything further, is a pattern that would repeat itself in ways I didn't fully understand until much later. When I was 17, I won a full academic scholarship to Vanderbilt University, the first person in our family to go to college on a merit scholarship. My mother packed my dorm supplies, ironed my pillowcase, and slipped a handwritten note into my Bible. "We are so proud of you. Come home whenever you need to. This is always your house." I kept that note for 14 years. It's still in my desk, right next to the binder. It was the last completely true thing she ever wrote me. I met Darius Webb in the spring semester of my junior year at Vanderbilt. He was in my advanced financial modeling elective, a computer science major who had wandered into an accounting course because, as he explained later, he wanted to understand money from every angle before he built anything around it. He sat in the front row and asked better questions than anyone else in the room, including the professor. Our first real conversation happened outside the building after class. He asked if I wanted to get coffee. I said I had a study group. He said he'd walk me there. It was 14 minutes across campus. By the time we reached the library door, I already knew I was in trouble. Not bad trouble, the other kind. Darius was the son of a woman named Loretta Webb, a retired middle school principal from Nashville, who had raised him alone after his father left when Darius was 6. Loretta had worked 2 jobs until Darius got his scholarship. He had her discipline and his own particular brand of calm. He never rushed. He never performed. He thought carefully before he spoke. And when he spoke, it was worth listening to. I loved him before I admitted it to myself. That took about 3 weeks. The admission, I mean. The loving had already happened. We dated for 2 years before he brought up marriage. Not with a ring initially, with a conversation at our kitchen table in the apartment we were sharing near campus. He said, "I want to build something real with you, not just the company idea. A life. All of it. Will you do that with me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called Calverton that night. My mother picked up on the second ring. I told her I was engaged. The line went silent for 8 full seconds. I counted them. Then she said, "Serena, who is this man exactly?" I told her his name, his background, his degree, his plans. I told her about Loretta, the retired principal, the 2 jobs, the scholarships. "That's not what I'm asking," she said. "I know," I said. "And I'm not going to answer the question you're actually asking." The call ended shortly after that. My father never got on the line, and I remember sitting there after I hung up, looking at my own hands, and thinking he could have picked up. The phone was right there. He could have said congratulations. He chose not to. I filed that away. Not in the binder didn't exist yet, but somewhere inside me, in a place that had been keeping careful record long before I gave it a label. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Cream-colored stationery. My mother's handwriting. 4 paragraphs. I'll only tell you the last one. "If you go through with this marriage, you are making a choice that this family cannot support. We will not be present, and if you walk down that aisle, Serena, do not expect to walk back through our door as though nothing happened. Some choices close doors permanently. This is one of them." I read the letter twice, then I did something that surprised even me. I didn't cry. I didn't call her back. I went to my desk, opened a new manila folder, labeled it in black marker, and filed the letter inside. Something in me, the part that had grown up watching my mother keep meticulous records of every social debt and social slight in Calverton, understood that some things needed to be preserved, not as weapons, as evidence. Evidence of what was real, so that no one could ever rewrite it into something more comfortable. I held on to the letter. I held on to everything after that. Darius and I got married on a Saturday morning in June at the Multnomah County Courthouse in Portland. 17 guests, all friends. All from Darius's side except for my college roommate Petra, who flew in from Chicago with a bottle of champagne and a card that made me cry in the courthouse bathroom before the ceremony. Loretta Webb flew in from Nashville wearing a pale green dress and carrying a Tupperware container of lemon pound cake that she had baked at 5 in the morning. She found me in the waiting area before the ceremony, took both my hands, looked at me directly, and said, "I am so glad my son found you. Welcome to this family, baby. We are yours now." I want you to understand what those words did to me. I had not heard anything like them from a maternal figure in 8 months. And here was this woman, this retired school principal, who had raised a son alone and still found time to volunteer with kindergartners, telling me I was wanted, fully, without conditions, without a list of requirements I needed to meet first. My dress cost $140 from a consignment shop on Burnside. Darius wore a charcoal suit he'd bought on clearance. We looked like 2 people doing the most important thing of their lives on a budget. Because we were, and it was one of the most beautiful days of my life. That night in our apartment, after everyone had gone home, I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the grocery store roses in the vase on the dresser. $6, white, already starting to open, and my hands shook. Not from doubt, not from regret, from grief. I had just married a man who was everything I had ever wanted. And the 2 people who raised me hadn't thought it was worth a 4-hour drive to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Calverton. Inside it, our wedding photo. Darius and me on the courthouse steps, grinning, slightly windblown, completely happy. On the back of the photo I wrote, "We are happy. I hope someday you can be too." The envelope came back 11 days later. Red stamp. Return to sender. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at that stamp for a long time. Then I opened the manila folder, added the returned photo, and wrote in the top corner with a red pen, Item 2, wedding photo. Returned. June. That was how the binder began. Year 1 was the hardest. I called my mother 4 times, voicemail every time. I left messages, short, Careful, the kind where you choose every word because you know it might be the last one she listens to. Hi, Mom. Just checking in. We're doing well. Darius got a contract with a healthcare network downtown. I passed my CPA exam. I miss you. Call whenever you're ready. She never called back. I sent birthday cards for her birthday, my father's birthday, Bethany's birthday, Christmas. Most came back stamped. A few didn't come back at all, which somehow felt worse. At least the returned ones confirmed she had received them. The ones that vanished into silence left nothing to file. My father sent one text message in February of that first year. 4 words. Hope you are well. I replied, we are. Thank you, Dad. He didn't respond. I filed a screenshot, labeled it, dated it, and I sat with the truth of what that exchange meant. That my father, the quiet, steady man I had believed in, was choosing to stay silent, not because he didn't know better, but because standing up to my mother cost him something he wasn't willing to pay. I understood it. I even had compassion for it, but I didn't excuse it. In year 3, I got pregnant. Twins. A boy and a girl. We named them Caleb and Iris. I sent a card to Calverton when I was 6 months along. Inside it was a sonogram photo. 2 little profiles, side by side, already looking like they were having a conversation. On the card I wrote, "You're going to be grandparents. I hope that changes something." The card came back. Red stamp. I sat in the nursery, half-painted, smelling like fresh latex and sawdust, and held that returned envelope and felt something shift permanently inside me. Not anger, not sadness anymore, something quieter and more final. I understood then that this was not going to resolve itself. My mother was not going to wake up one morning and decide she had been wrong. She was going to hold her position until something forced her hand. I filed the returned sonogram in the binder. Item 9. And I went back to painting the nursery. Loretta Webb flew in from Nashville 6 weeks after Caleb and Iris were born. She stayed for 10 days. She held both babies with the ease of a woman who had spent 30 years surrounded by children. She taught me how to swaddle Iris when she was fussy. She sat with Caleb at 3 in the morning, when Darius and I were both too exhausted to think straight. She was the grandmother my children had. She was the only one who showed up. By year 11, the year my mother rang my doorbell, Webb and Whitfield Financial Systems had just completed a valuation that put us at $32 million. I want to be clear about something. The money changed the quality of our lives. Caleb and Iris went to a school with small class sizes. Darius could hire the team he needed. We had a house with a real backyard, but it didn't change us. Darius still drove the same kind of car he'd driven since graduate school. Loretta still flew coach. We still split checks with friends. Money was a tool. We had always treated it that way. What I did not expect was that the money would change how my family in Calverton thought about us. Bethany had seen an article about our company in a regional business publication and sent it to my mother. My mother read it, did some research, made some calculations, and then packed a carry-on bag and flew to Portland with a list, 5 bullet points, each one with a description and a dollar amount beside it. The first was a loan she claimed my father had taken from her parents' estate to help pay for my college textbooks, $11,000. With 14 years of interest applied, interest she had calculated herself, at a rate she had also chosen herself. The second was a figure she called family support contributions. An estimate, she explained, of what parents typically spend raising a child from birth to 18, minus my scholarship, plus costs she had itemized going back to my early childhood. The arithmetic was creative. The number was large. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th were variations on the same theme. Money she felt she was owed for things she had done for me before I was an adult, before I had made any choice she objected to, before any of this had happened, as though the act of raising me had been a loan with terms I had never been shown, coming due now that I was in a position to repay it. Total $812,000. She was watching me with an expression I recognized from childhood, the one she used when she had decided something was settled and was waiting for the other person to accept it. "We need to talk about the family's financial situation," she said. "Your father's pension isn't what we expected. The house needs a new roof. Bethany's going through some things." I nodded slowly. "Come in," I said. Sit down. And then I went to my desk drawer. And I took out the binder. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. Her list on one side. My binder on the other. Navy blue. Thick. A white label on the front with 2 words in black marker. Family record. What is that? She asked. This, I said, is 11 years. I opened it to the first page. Item 1. The letter. Cream stationery. 4 paragraphs. I slid it across to her, her own handwriting. She looked at it. She didn't touch it. Item 2. The returned wedding photo. The red stamp still visible on the envelope. Item 3. Voicemail transcripts. Every message I had left her in year 1, typed out word for word. Every one that went unanswered. I didn't rush. I went page by page, not to punish her, because I had spent 11 years being precise about this, and precision deserved to be witnessed. Item 9. The returned sonogram envelope, still sealed. I watched her face when I placed it on the table. Something moved behind her eyes. A flicker. Fast. Gone. Mom, I said quietly, you sent back the photo of your grandchildren before they were born. She said nothing. Caleb and Iris are 10 years old. They have a grandmother. Her name is Loretta. She flies in from Nashville every few months. She crochets with Iris on the couch. She taught Caleb how to make her lemon pound cake from scratch. She goes to their school performances and cries at every single one. I turned to item 23, flagged with a small yellow tab, a birthday card from year 7. Inside it had been a school photo of Caleb and Iris at their fall festival, matching orange shirts, big gap-toothed smiles, Iris with her hair in 2 puffs, Caleb missing his front tooth. The envelope had come back with the usual red stamp, but the flap had been opened and resealed, carefully. With a small strip of clear tape, I set it on the table and pointed to the tape. This card was opened. Someone looked at that photo, looked at their faces, and then sealed it back up and sent it back. My mother's hands went flat on the table. Who opened it, Mom? A long silence. Your father, she said finally. Her voice was lower now. He wanted to keep it, and you made him send it back. She didn't answer that directly, but then she said something so quietly, I had to lean forward to hear it. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong, that I had lost 11 years, that I had pushed away my own grandchildren over something that... She stopped, swallowed. I was afraid of what it would mean if I let myself feel it. For one moment, maybe 2, I saw something real in her face. Not performance. Not the social calculation I had watched her run her entire life. Actual fear. The kind that lives underneath anger for so long it forgets how to come out any other way. It was the most honest thing she had said to me since I was a child. And I understood it, more than she knew, because I had spent 11 years building something while carrying grief, and I knew what it cost to hold things together when part of you wanted to fall apart. She had chosen differently. She had chosen armor over honesty, pride over her grandchildren, and the story she told Calverton over the daughter who left it. I didn't forgive her in that moment, but I understood her, and those are 2 very different things. And then it was gone. Her chin lifted, her posture straightened. But you left, Serena. You made your choices. You can't expect... Stop. She stopped. I placed her list on the left side of the table. I placed the open binder on the right. 2 documents, side by side. Your list. $812,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. You flew here from Tennessee with a financial demand and a carry-on bag, and you have not asked me a single question about my children. I tapped the binder. My list. 27 items. 11 years. Every card you returned. Every voicemail you ignored. Every photo of your grandchildren that came back in an envelope with a red stamp. Every birthday Caleb and Iris had without you. Every school performance Loretta cried at, because you weren't there to cry with her. My mother's nostrils flared. After everything we gave you growing up, you raised me, I said. That is not a debt. That is what parents do. We sacrificed. You sent back a sonogram photo. My voice stayed even. They were not yet born, and you sent them back. She had nothing for that. I watched her search through every argument she had prepared. every point of leverage she had planned to use, and find nothing that fit. The garage door rumbled. Darius came in through the laundry room, keys in one hand, laptop bag over his shoulder. He stopped when he saw my mother, saw the binder on the table, saw me. He didn't speak. He set his bag on the counter, walked to the table, put his hand on my shoulder, sat down beside me. That was all. No speech, no confrontation, no performance. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. My mother looked at him. This man she had refused to acknowledge for 11 years. He was wearing a flannel shirt and worn running shoes and a watch that cost less than her earrings. There was nothing flashy about him, nothing that announced what he had built or what the company was worth. He was just a man sitting next to his wife, hand on her shoulder, quiet, steady, present. My mother stared at his hand, at my shoulder, at the space between us that held no tension, no performance, no need for explanation. I watched her understand something. I didn't need the Whitfield family to validate what I had built. I had already built something better. I spoke the way I deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Factual, complete, no revision pending. "Mom, I'm not going to give you money." She opened her mouth, not because I can't, because the moment I hand you a check, you'll tell yourself you were right to stay away until it was worth coming back. You'll tell Bethany it was just a rough patch. You'll rewrite 11 years into a misunderstanding. I picked up her list and held it out to her. They were not a misunderstanding. They were a choice. Every single item in this binder was a choice you made. She didn't take the list. It stayed in the air between us. If you want to know your grandchildren, really know them, not as a reason to come here, but as people that starts with an apology, not to me, to them. And it doesn't start today. It starts when you are actually ready to mean it. My mother stood up slowly. The chair scraped against the tile. She picked up her list, folded it, put it in her coat pocket, picked up her carry-on bag. She walked to the front door. She stopped, turned halfway around, opened her mouth, closed it, and walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. Not a slam, a click, the sound of someone leaving who understood, for the first time, that she had spent 11 years trading something that couldn't be bought back for something she had decided mattered more. Darius and I sat at the kitchen table in the quiet for a long time. He didn't ask me how I felt. He knew how I felt. He poured 2 glasses of water and pushed one toward me, and we sat there in the silence of a house where everything was exactly as it should be. 2 weeks passed. Caleb and Iris didn't know she had been there. They were at school both times, the arrival and the departure. I preferred it that way. They would learn about Gloria Whitfield when they were old enough to understand that some people only see you clearly when the light is right and the numbers are favorable. My father called on a Tuesday morning, 9:17 a.m., while I was reviewing a vendor contract at my desk. "Serena, Dad, your mother told me what happened." A pause. The kind that carries weight. I should have opened that door 9 years ago. I should have picked up the phone. I should have driven to Portland the week the twins were born. I should have done a lot of things. His voice cracked on the last sentence. "I'm sorry, not because of any money. I don't want anything from you. I want to know my grandchildren. And I want to know if you'll let me try." I was quiet for 17 seconds. I counted. "I believe you, Dad, but believing you and trusting you are 2 different things. We start slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks. No visits yet. Just talking. We see how it goes." "That's more than I deserve. It's exactly what you deserve," I said. "Not more, not less." We hung up. I went back to my contract. Bethany texted once. One line, "You could have just helped the family." I read it twice. I didn't reply. Some messages contain their own answer. My mother didn't call, didn't text, didn't write. The silence returned, but this time it was entirely hers. I had said everything I needed to say. The next move belonged to her. I wasn't going to wait for it. But I wasn't going to close the door either. Doors closed by pride can be reopened by honesty, but only the person who closed them can decide to do that. I had learned that lesson by watching her not learn it for 11 years. Closing the binder is still in my desk drawer. 27 items. 11 years. I haven't added a 28th. I hope I never have to. Loretta came to visit the month after my mother left. She didn't know about the visit. I hadn't told her. She came because Iris had a school performance, and Loretta had not missed a school performance in 7 years. She sat in the third row in a yellow cardigan with a handmade sign that said "Go Iris" in glitter letters. Iris spotted her from the stage and broke into the biggest smile I have ever seen on a 10-year-old's face. I sat in the fourth row and watched my daughter perform for the grandmother who had shown up. Not when the numbers changed, not when it became convenient, but from the very beginning. From the lemon pound cake at the courthouse. From the 10 days in our apartment when the twins were newborns and Darius and I didn't know what we were doing. From every visit, every performance, every crocheted blanket, every batch of pound cake made from scratch. That is what showing up looks like. Not a list of demands on cream stationery. Not a carry-on bag and a dollar amount. Just a woman in a yellow cardigan with a glitter sign in the third row. Here is what 11 years of silence taught me. I used to think family was the people who shared your last name, and your history, and your hometown. I used to think that blood was a kind of automatic loyalty, that it meant something regardless of behavior, regardless of what it costs the people on the other end. It doesn't. Family is not the people who appear when your net worth changes. Family is not the people who show up when the article runs, and the numbers look impressive, and the door is finally worth knocking on. Family is the people who showed up when your world was small, when your kitchen had bad lighting, and your dress came from a consignment shop, and your babies needed someone to hold them at 3 in the morning, and there was no financial incentive in the world to justify the plane ticket. That's family. And for 11 years, while one grandmother sent back birthday cards with a red stamp, another grandmother was crocheting blankets and teaching my son to make pound cake from scratch, and crying at every school performance because she was genuinely, completely, unconditionally proud of children she had chosen to love. Choose being chosen. Every single time. She came with a list of what she wanted. I had a list of what she did. In the end, the only number that mattered was 11. 11 years she chose her pride over her grandchildren, and not a single one of those years is coming back.